She stood on the edge of the gravel road, arms crossed, sunglasses glinting like she owned the sun itself. "You can't camp here," she said. "This is HOA property." I didn't even look up from the small fire pit I was setting. "Ma'am, this is my lake," I replied quietly. Her lips twitched. "That's not what our community records say." She waved a folded paper in my face, one of those fake HOA notices with bold red letters. "You're trespassing." I could have laughed, but my patience was already wearing thin. I'd bought this ranch 10 years ago, every acre, every rock, every drop of water. I'd cleared it myself after retiring from service. I didn't say any of that, though. I just said, "You should leave before you embarrass yourself." Her voice went sharp. "Excuse me. I am the HOA president. You're not allowed to camp, fish, or light fires on this land without authorization." She snapped a photo of me like she'd just caught a criminal. "Ma'am," I said slowly. "Put your phone away," she smirked. "Already called the cops?" For a second, the world went quiet, just the sound of wind moving across the lake. I stared at her, calm but steady. "You really shouldn't have done that," I said. She frowned. "Why not?" I poked the fire once and said, "Because when they get here, they'll be reporting to me." Her smile froze. "What do you mean?" I leaned back in my chair, boots in the dirt. "I'm the county sheriff." Her eyes widened, but before she could speak, we both heard the distant siren wail. Someone was really coming. Only this time it wasn't who she thought. The siren got louder, echoing across the lake like a warning. Karen straightened her back and fixed her hair, all proud and ready to see me dragged away. I just kept stirring my coffee, watching her try to hide that little shake in her hands. A county cruiser rolled up the dirt path, lights flashing red and blue against the trees. 2 deputies stepped out, Foster and Hill, both from my department. Karen waved like she was calling in backup for a movie scene. "Officers, over here," she shouted. "This man is trespassing and threatening me." Foster shot me a look, half confused, half amused. Sheriff?" he said softly. Karen froze. "Wait, what did you just call him?" Hill tried to keep a straight face. "Ma'am, that's Sheriff Daniels. This is his land." For a second, she didn't move. Then her voice cracked like glass. "No, that's impossible. The HOA records show this lake is community property." She turned the paper toward them, but Hill didn't even glance at it. "Ma'am, those records don't override county deeds," he said. "And this whole ranch," he pointed around, "belongs to the sheriff." Karen's eyes darted between us, her mouth opening and closing like she'd lost her lines. "So you're telling me I called the police on the police?" I finally stood up, brushing the dust off my jeans. "You sure did," I said, calm but cold. "But I'm curious, why'd you think this was your land in the first place?" She hesitated, clutching her fake notice tighter. "Because the HOA map said so." "We had a meeting," Foster interrupted. "Ma'am, you can't issue fake eviction notices." "That's a criminal offense." Her face went pale. "Fake? No, someone from the board gave me those papers." I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "Who gave them to you, Karen?" She swallowed hard, eyes flicking toward the woods behind her. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you," I said quietly. "Try me." She glanced at the cops, then whispered, "It wasn't the HOA. It was someone from your own department." The wind went still. Even the siren's echo seemed to fade. I stared at her, trying to read if she was bluffing or scared. Her voice shook, but her eyes didn't. They were dead serious. Foster looked at me, waiting for a signal. I gave him a small nod to stand down. "All right, Karen," I said, keeping my tone level. "Who in my department?" She hesitated, then pulled out her phone. Her hand trembled as she scrolled through her messages. "He said his name was Officer Reed. He told me this whole area was being reclaimed by the HOA for safety reasons. He even sent me county documents to post on your property." Foster's jaw tightened. "Reed's not with us anymore, sir. He resigned 2 months ago." "Yeah," I said slowly. "After Internal Affairs caught him running side deals with land developers." Karen blinked. "Land developers?" "Yeah," I replied, stepping closer. "They buy out ranchers, force them off their land, flip it for millions. Reed must have promised you a piece of that if you helped." Her lips parted in shock. "No, he said it was legal. He said he worked for the county still." Hill checked his radio, already paging dispatch. "Want me to get Reed's last known address, Sheriff?" I nodded. "Do it now." Karen backed away, clutching her phone. "I swear I didn't know. He said the sheriff was corrupt, that you were using this place for illegal storage or something." I almost laughed, but anger burned deeper. Illegal storage? I repeated. Karen, the only thing stored here is my family's history. My wife built that cabin with her own hands. For the first time, her confidence cracked all the way through. I didn't mean for this to happen, she said, voice small. He told me to record you, to send him proof. Proof of what? That you were squatting here. He said it would help the case. The more she spoke, the clearer it got. She wasn't the mastermind. She was bait. Someone bigger was pulling the strings. I turned to my deputies. Secure her phone. We'll trace every message from Reed. If he's still in the county, I want him found before sundown. Karen's voice broke behind me. Sheriff, he said if I didn't help him, he'd take my house next. That made me stop. I looked back, and for the first time, I saw fear instead of arrogance in her eyes. Then it looks like, Karen, I said quietly. You and I are chasing the same enemy. Foster drove while I sat in the passenger seat, eyes fixed on the endless stretch of road ahead. Karen sat in the back, silent now, clutching her phone like it was her last piece of proof. The wind had picked up, carrying dust across the fields that used to be full of ranches. Now half of them were gone, sold off to companies that came in fast and left faster. Dispatch says Reed's last signal was near Ridgeview, Hill said through the radio. Old construction site near the county line. Of course, I muttered. That's where all those new development trucks started showing up. Karen leaned forward a little. He mentioned Ridgeview once. Said something about finalizing deals before winter. Foster glanced at me. You think he's tied to that developer group, Stratus Holdings? Wouldn't surprise me, I said. They've been trying to buy every ranch that borders the lake. Mine's the only one they couldn't touch. When we reached Ridgeview, the place looked abandoned. Half-built homes, rusted equipment, and a metal trailer parked crooked at the edge. Foster killed the engine, and the silence settled heavy. I motioned for them to stay behind while I approached the trailer. The door was half open, creaking with the wind. I stepped inside slow. It smelled like coffee and oil. Papers were scattered on the table, county maps, deed copies, even aerial shots of my property. And right in the middle, a photo of me by the lake taken that morning. My stomach turned cold. He'd been watching us before the whole thing even started. Suddenly, a voice came from behind me. Didn't expect you to come here yourself, Sheriff. I turned, and there he was, Reed, beard grown out, badge still clipped to his belt like he never left the force. You've been busy, I said. He smiled thin. Just cleaning up the system you left broken. You mean stealing land from veterans and single families? He shrugged. People sell when they're scared. You know that better than anyone. He took a step closer, hands in his jacket pockets. That woman, Karen, she was supposed to sign the report saying you trespassed. Once you were discredited, this whole area would be mine. I let him talk, my eyes catching a red light blinking on the wall. A small security camera pointed right at us. He noticed where I was looking and smirked. Yeah, been recording everything. Insurance, you could say. I said quietly. Good. So you just confessed on video. His grin faded, eyes darting to the camera. You think anyone's gonna believe you over the footage I already sent out? Before I could answer, the sound of a car door slammed outside, too soon, too heavy. Then Hill's voice shouted, Sheriff, we've got company. I rushed to the window and froze. 3 black SUVs were rolling up the dirt road. No plates, no county markings. Karen's voice trembled from outside. That's them. The developers he worked for. Reed smiled again, calm and sure. Guess you found out a little too late. Foster drew his gun the moment the first SUV door swung open. Men in suits stepped out. Too clean, too confident for a construction crew. The way they moved said private security, not businessmen. Their leader, a tall man with slick hair and a bulletproof vest under his jacket, raised a hand like this was some kind of polite meeting. Sheriff Daniels, he called, smiling like he knew me. Let's keep this simple. You walk away from this property, and we forget the paperwork mix-up. Nobody needs to get hurt. I stepped out of the trailer, hands visible but steady. You're trespassing on county land, I said. Put your hands where I can see them. He laughed. County land? That's funny. Reed told us you'd say that. He also said you've been under investigation. Reed walked out behind me, smirking. Told you he'd come running right into us. Foster's radio crackled. Dead static. They'd jammed the signal. Karen ducked behind the cruiser, whispering, Oh my God, they're armed. The men fanned out, hands resting near their holsters. I could feel the tension tightening in the air like wire. Hill tried the emergency channel. Nothing. You've been building fake HOAs, I said, raising my voice. Forged notices, illegal buyouts, extortion. You think you can bully landowners into selling? The man's smile faded. We prefer the term restructuring. The county wants progress, Sheriff. You can't stop it. I took one step closer. Watch me. He nodded slightly toward Reed. You know what to do. Reed reached for his gun. That was his last mistake. Foster fired once, clean, controlled. The shot hit Reed's hand, sending his weapon spinning into the dirt. The rest of the men froze, caught off guard by how fast it happened. Drop your weapons, I barked, my voice echoing through the half-built homes. Now! One of them hesitated too long. Hill moved around the cruiser, shotgun leveled, eyes cold. Do it. Don't test him. Karen peeked out, trembling but filming everything with her phone. Her voice was shaking, but she whispered, People need to see this. The leader looked around, realizing it was over. He slowly raised his hands, the arrogance finally gone. You don't understand, Sheriff. This goes higher than you think. I lowered my weapon slightly. Then you better start naming names. He smirked one last time. You'll find out soon enough. The ones funding us, they're already inside your office. That line hit harder than the gunshot. I stared at him, the truth starting to crawl under my skin. Someone in my own department wasn't just helping him. They were running the whole thing. And the second I turned back toward my cruiser, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Back off, Daniels, or you'll lose more than land. I stared at the message on my phone, the words burning brighter than the screen itself. Foster leaned over my shoulder. Who sent that? He asked. I shook my head slowly. No number. Just a warning. Hill was zip-tying the men from the SUVs while Karen stood near the cruiser, pale and quiet. She looked shaken but not scared anymore. More like someone finally seeing the truth after years of lies. Get these guys to holding, I told Foster. Don't trust anyone from the department until I clear it. He hesitated. Sir, you think the leak's really from inside? I looked at Reed's badge lying in the dirt. I don't think anymore. I know. Back at the station, everything felt off. The lights in the hall flickered and 2 deputies avoided my eyes when I passed. My gut told me to tread careful. I went straight to evidence storage, where we kept the land deed archives. The cabinet was open, empty. Every document connected to the ranch properties gone. Before I could even curse, a voice came from behind me. Looking for something, Sheriff? It was Deputy Miller, young, polite, the kind everyone trusted. He was leaning against the doorway with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. You shouldn't be here alone. Where are the files, Miller? I asked. He shrugged. Relocated. The county board requested a review. I stepped closer. Or maybe someone paid you to make them disappear. His jaw tightened just slightly. You think too small, sir. This isn't about money. It's about ownership. Before I could press, Karen's voice came through my radio, panicked. Sheriff, they're here, outside your station. They said you're under investigation by state agents. I rushed outside. 3 black SUVs again. Different ones this time, official plates, state logos. Men in suits stepped out, flashing badges. The lead agent said calmly, Sheriff Daniels, you're being placed under suspension pending investigation for property fraud and unlawful detainment. The deputies in the lot froze. Miller stood just behind them, smirking slightly. I lifted my hand slowly, keeping my voice even. You've been fed a lie. Check Reed's recordings. Check the timestamp. The agent didn't blink. We already did. The video shows you threatening civilians with armed force on disputed land. Karen ran up from the side, phone in hand. No, I have the real footage. He was set up. The agent turned toward her. Ma'am, you'll have your chance to. Her phone screen flashed and suddenly shut off. Dead. Miller smiled faintly. Guess she lost connection. That's when I realized the setup wasn't just about land, it was about erasing me. Entirely. But what none of them knew was that I'd already backed up. Everything, security cam footage, body cam files, deed scans onto a private server at my ranch, updated every night at midnight. I lowered my voice just enough for Miller to hear. You might have deleted the files here, but not where it counts. For the first time, his smirk faltered. What did you do, Sheriff? I gave him a cold half-smile. Let's just say, my ranch watches back. The next morning, the county news stations were already buzzing. Sheriff Daniels under state investigation, the headline screamed. Cameras swarmed outside the courthouse as I was led in. No cuffs, but close enough to make it look like I'd fallen. That's what they wanted. Optics. They thought the game was over. But they didn't know about the timer I'd set the night before. At 8 a.m. sharp, every file from my ranch's security system uploaded itself to a private cloud. From there, it automatically forwarded to 3 places: the state auditor's office, the local news network, and one of the biggest veteran rights channels online. By the time I sat down in that hearing room, half the county had already seen the footage. Reed forging papers, the developer's men threatening me, even Miller pocketing cash near the Ridgeview trailer. The lead investigator walked in holding a tablet, face tight. "Sheriff," he said, voice quieter now, "is there something you want to tell us?" I leaned forward. "Only that I warned them not to touch my land." He turned the tablet toward the room. The video played, Reed talking to Miller, mentioning payoffs for HOA interference and getting the sheriff off the map. Gasps filled the room. Karen was there too, sitting in the back, eyes wide but proud. She whispered, "It's all there." Miller, who had been standing against the wall, suddenly lunged for the door, but 2 deputies grabbed him before he made it out. The same deputies who had avoided my eyes yesterday now held him like a snake they should have seen sooner. The investigator's tone shifted fast. "Sheriff Daniels, you're cleared of all charges. Effective immediately, your suspension is lifted." He turned to Miller. "You, on the other hand, are under arrest for evidence tampering, conspiracy, and obstruction of justice." As they dragged him out, he hissed, "You think this ends with me?" I looked at him coldly. "No. It ends when every name you protected sees the inside of a cell." Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed again, but this time, the questions were different. "Sheriff, how did you uncover the scheme? Did you know about the fake HOA?" I paused at the steps and looked out at the reporters. "People think power means control," I said. "But real power is knowing when to stand your ground and never backing down from what's yours." Karen stepped up beside me. "They tried to take everything from you," she said softly. "From both of us," I nodded. "They forgot one thing. What's that?" I smiled just a little. "You can't frame the law when the law has evidence." She laughed nervously, maybe for the first time that day. "Guess I picked the wrong side at first." "Yeah," I said, turning toward the horizon. "But you switched before it was too late." Then my phone buzzed, another unknown number. Only this time it wasn't a threat. Just 4 words, "Nice work, Sheriff. Phase 2 begins." I looked up, the wind carrying dust off the courthouse steps. My gut went cold again. The battle wasn't over. Someone higher was still out there watching. I stood there for a long moment, watching the crowd fade, the courthouse doors close, and the last of the cameras disappear down Main Street. The message on my phone still glowed like an open wound. "Phase 2 begins." Foster met me by the cruiser. "Sir, you okay?" I pocketed the phone. Not yet. Back at the ranch, the air felt different, quiet, too still. The lake shimmered under the evening sun, the same place this whole mess had started. Karen drove up in her little SUV, her hair tied back, eyes steady now instead of frightened. "They found more names," she said, walking toward me. "Developers, board members, a few county officials. But one stands out, State Senator Gray. Every payment trail ends at him." I felt my jaw tighten. Gray was the same man who'd given speeches about protecting local families while buying land through shell companies. "So that's who Phase 2 is," I said. "They're warning me to stay out of his way." Karen folded her arms. "Are you going to?" I looked across the water, remembering every rancher who'd called me begging for help before their homes were bulldozed. "No," I said quietly. "Not this time." That night, I sat at my desk and opened the folder marked Gray. Deed transfers, bank wires, even emails between him and Reed. I sent it all, every single file, to the state news network, the FBI tip line, and one last recipient, the veteran network that had first aired my footage. By morning, the story was everywhere. Senator Gray linked to illegal land seizures, bribes, and HOA fraud. Gray tried to hold a press conference, but halfway through the state agents arrived and led him away in cuffs. The image went viral in hours. Karen watching from her porch, tears on her face, and me standing by the lake, radio crackling softly with Foster's voice. "It's over, Sheriff. They got him." But I knew it wasn't just about winning. It was about what this land meant. I looked at the flagpole beside my cabin, raised the flag my wife had folded before she passed, and let it catch the wind. Karen walked up beside me. "You really fought for this place," she said. I nodded. "I didn't fight overseas to come home and be told I can't live free on my own ground." She smiled faintly. "Guess the HOA picked the wrong guy." "Yeah," I said, watching the flag wave high above the lake. "They forgot one thing. This land doesn't scare easy." The camera of a local reporter caught that moment, the sheriff, the flag, the sun cutting through the clouds. The headline later that day read, "HOA tried to bury a veteran sheriff, he dug up the truth instead." And as the breeze rolled across the ranch, I finally sat down by the fire again, same spot where it all began. The lake was calm. The land was quiet. Justice finally felt like home.